All right, welcome for anybody that is joining us and for anyone that's going to be watching this back in the future. I am joined in rooms today with the lovely Katie Crenshaw. She is our social media manager here at Radius. And on a monthly basis, Katie will be acting as a resource for rooms. And she will be providing her expertise in social media and in digital marketing, both in a Q&A session as well as a specific topic. So today's topic for our mastermind is on the importance of aesthetics in social media. And so I'm going to let Katie take over from here, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Hi, guys. If you have any questions while we're going, just feel free to drop them in the chat. Also, I think Eli just said this will be recorded, and I do specific topics in here once a month. And every 2 weeks, we do an open forum Q&A, so we can continue to discuss things there. You can kind of bring whatever questions you have. Sometimes there's not even very many people in there, so it's a great opportunity to get some condensed advice and things like that. So to talk today, we're talking about aesthetics and why that is important. Well, first of all, Renee, I see you're the only agent in here right now, but are you, do you have a social presence right now that you are engaging in often?
I do.
Okay. And are you primarily on Instagram, Facebook?
I'm on all of them. I post on all of them, but I would say I'm the most active on Facebook simply because my client base tends to be a little older, so they're not all Instagrammy yet.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of it definitely, is constantly evolving, and we can see that generation wise, we kind of switch around in the apps and stuff. But Instagram is actually, based on the latest like NAR survey research, Instagram has moved way up in terms of where people are finding realtors. So as much as it's like a labor of love to add social media marketing to a small business owner's plate, it is unfortunately necessary. So we've talked about a lot of topics. We've talked about using AI to create content, like making an editorial calendar, so many cool things. So definitely check those out. But talking about aesthetics is more in line with a general branding conversation overall, but as it pertains to social media, you'll probably hear mixed messaging about if aesthetics are important, if the way things look when you're looking at a grid, if that actually matters when it comes to conversions and ROI. And at the end of the day, we've found that it does, from research to just the data showing us it does matter on some level. Your visual identity, or your brand online, affects emotion, perception, and helps you connect to the right audience. With social media, obviously, when people are deciding if they want to follow you or not, or engage longer term, they're going to probably glance at what they can see right up front and make a very quick judgment. And as consumers, we all probably do the same thing when we're deciding whether or not to follow somebody. So whether it's Instagram or Facebook, at the first look, you want whatever your brand is to be obvious, whatever your niche is, if you have a niche, to be obvious, and you want it to stand out as something that is almost like a virtual portfolio, where people can say, okay, this agent provides this, this, and this. I can see that they cover local topics. I can see that they have beautiful listings, and I can see that who they are, and there's behind the scenes videos of them talking, or whatever your categories, your pillars are, at a glance. So I think I had some research here. Okay, so one of the statistics says that it takes 50 milliseconds for a user to form an opinion about your platform or your website or whatever, which is crazy. That's crazy fast. And 95% of first impressions are design related. So this proves that visually appealing and consistent brand aesthetic will capture a customer's attention and interest, or it won't very quickly. So there's a lot of different things you can do to kind of make sure you don't have to be a graphic designer, you don't have to be an absolute expert in all things branding to make this happen. Not only can we cover some like free resources and applications, but it's just we can make this simpler than it maybe sounds right now. So when we talk about aesthetics and like visual identity branding, we're talking about color schemes, fonts, your logo design, and if you're a partner with us already at Radius, we may have helped you design your logo, and we know your fonts and color schemes already. And if we created it, like, not to toot our own horn, but it's probably looking pretty good. So then you just kind of need to start creating things that are cohesive with your brand, which would be you standardizing the fonts you use and the colors you use and, the overall vibe. When you deviate too much from the standardization of your brand, it just starts to look like it's thrown together. People might be confused on what you offer, all those kind of things. Let's see.
Katie, I have a question for you. So when you're putting together and thinking about the grid for Radius's social media, what kind of factors are going into how you present the thumbnail, whether that's in the real form or in just a static image form? What's kind of your thought process in terms of applying this theory in practice?
Yeah, so like for the Radius platform, we are primarily on Instagram, and then secondary would be LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a little different because it's text-based, and there's not so much like, you can't just like glance at the feed. So with Instagram, and even Facebook, I want to make sure, obviously, all our brand is standardized from colors to fonts and all those things. And then I'm also thinking about, if somebody goes to the Radius Instagram account and glances at the feed, in one screenshot view, can they see what all our pillars of content are and who we are and what we offer? So in my case, outside of, using the branding that we have established at Radius, I also want to make sure that I have utilized the pinned posts at the top. So you can pin 3 posts. And on the Radius account right now, I think it's like some stuff about like kind of what we offer, our value props as a brokerage. And then we have, our most recent launch announcement from Mel, our AI tool. And I think we have one more tech kind of example up there. And then the last several feeds are a combination of our other kind of categories of content. So agent testimonials, we have like a featured listing spot, we have our monthly agent awards, and you can kind of see all that just by glancing at our feed for a second. And, I've said this in multiple of these calls, but, you want to educate, invoke emotion, entertain. Basically, if you stick to those 3, then you're providing value, or hypothetically, you're providing value to an audience. And that is the kind of thing people are going to look at beyond aesthetic. Aesthetic is kind of like the first impression. So aesthetically, it matters because you want people to spend more than 50 milliseconds looking to see if they want to follow you. And then, then they're like, okay, what do we have here? And if it's educational, entertaining, or invoke some sort of emotion, then there's a much better chance that they're going to want to follow you to get more, however that serves them. And since your audience as agents is potential buyers and sellers. That's where you'll work in your content pillars, which we've talked about before, but that might be local expertise, behind the scenes stuff, tips and tricks and hacks. And then obviously you have your new listings and your celebration of closings and all of those things as well sprinkled in. Now you can, a really great way to look at accounts that are doing this really well, or to kind of like see what is working for people, is look at accounts that are doing this really well and check out their aesthetics, see what they're doing. It might look complicated, but honestly, if you use Canva, which I think a lot of people do now, they have a free option, but their pro option is like not even very expensive. We use Canva here at Radius. They have a ton of options for standardizing your branding. There's a whole section where you can add your brand colors and put in all your hex codes, which is the color codes, into like your brand kit. And then also you can assign your fonts to like your heading, your subheading, all those things. And then everything is kind of right there ready to go. And then you can literally batch create graphics. You can batch create all sorts of things to kind of fill up your content calendar. And then in the meantime, if you do videos or things like that, you can, like Elo was asking me about, you can create a thumbnail so that that's what shows up in the social media feed for a video. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, here's this still shot of me with my mouth open trying to talk for this post. Like it'll show up in your feed like a thumbnail that you choose, which is a cool option. So you can have your thumbnail be consistent with and match your other branded graphics and things like that, so that it all sort of looks the same.
Renee,
there are oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, Renee, since you are on the call, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this. Is aesthetics something that you're currently taking into account as you post on social media? Is it I'm just kind of curious to see what your thought process is looking like as of right now, and maybe see if you had any questions on how to develop aesthetics for your feed.
I would say, first of all, I 100% know I have to focus on it, and then I 70% focus on it. So
yeah.
When I have time, I focus on it. So I'm somewhat inconsistent. My posting is consistent, the content and all of that, but making it pretty, I have a lot of templates I use in Canva for my congratulations and my listings and stuff like that. But anecdotally,
Yeah.
I'll sometimes post things that are more topic related, where I'm sharing a resource, and that tends to be a screen print that doesn't always perfectly align on Instagram or something. So it doesn't look as pretty as it could.
Well, and again, like pretty is less important than consistent, in my opinion. Obviously, like when we're talking about aesthetics, like we do want it to look nice. We do want it to be, speak to the audience you want to speak to, but consistency is also like super important. And like, do you have like a brand kit developed already, Renee, or just like, or maybe just a logo, or how's that
All
looking
of
for
the
you?
above. Yeah,
Okay.
I have a brand kit with all my coloring in Canva, and I have logos and I have taglines and all of that good stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a new option in Canva that I love where you can like choose a template, and then you can upload a photo that has all your brand colors in it, like just throw it on top of it, and then like you can right click the three dots and put like apply colors to page, and it'll automatically change the template to your brand colors or your whatever colors are in the photo you want it to match to, which is great.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't tried that.
I know, like if you're ever bored on like Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, just Google like Canva hacks. There's so many out there. Not that you're ever bored or need something else to do, but there's so many cool hacks out there. So like hypothetically, once you're working on social, you have a brand kit. You have developed a brand based on, you know, your audience and their demographic, all those things. It's also important, again, to look at your competitors, see what agents near you are really killing it on social, and literally mimic. I mean, don't mimic their exact content or copy, but like mimic what they're doing as far as like their structure or their pillars of content, all those things. Another important thing that I think we forget is having a very like clean and straightforward bio section in every platform. I see more than not, I see bios that are vague, like you can't tell what's going on. There's no clear, or they don't have the location listed, which is like super important for most creators, but definitely especially important for agents. And then also like how to contact you. I see so many bios where they don't have an email listed. There's no call to action on how to, or even how to identify how to get in touch with somebody. So that's slightly in the same lane as aesthetics, but super important. Another thing, I mean, this feels like less, I don't know, less critical. And especially if you're running your own business, this is probably easier to achieve, but you do want to make sure your messaging is consistent with who you're talking to. You know, if your niche is more, I don't know, you focus on a lot of like local expertise and it's really fun and bright and happy, you're not going to want like somber graphics and messaging because it doesn't match. I mean, it's kind of obvious, I guess.
Renee, I have a question for you. What colors do you utilize for your brand? And did you have any specific intention behind choosing those specific colors? I know color theory is also something that really plays into aesthetics and gaining like recognition on social media just based on brand awareness. And so I'm curious to see what colors you may have chose for your brand and why you chose them.
Yeah, I'm in the blue family, and I did it for two reasons. One, I live in Naples, Florida, and so there's water, and that's what draws people in. So I went with blue. I'm probably it's more of a bluish green. Then I also needed something that would tie in and not be in opposition with my broker's logo as well. So I use 3 shades of blue. And then a dark gray
cool. I think
for things that need to stand out.
Blue is also the color that invokes trust. Is that right?
It is.
There's
It
one.
is.
Yeah.
You are correct. It invokes trust and loyalty, and it's since it's a cooler color, it's also a very calming color as well too. And I was just in Naples back in December, I want to say. Beautiful area. So it was my first time ever visiting Naples, and so
Thank you.
it was so
It is
beautiful.
a great area.
It is a great area. How long have you lived there?
It is beautiful.
I've been here about 10 years. I got off the corporate track here and decided to have a local career.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Have you been in Florida your whole life?
Not at all. I worked for GE and they changed my address every 3 years. We used to joke that I was in the witness protection program.
No, you're kidding. You did. My father works for GE as well. And so he's been with the company for about 30 years, I want to say.
Which business is he in?
So he's in GE. I'm so sorry, Katie. He's in GE.
Oh, no, you're
fine. He's at GE Healthcare, and he is the global head of AI for the data for the imaging sector of the business.
Okay. Is he in Waukesha?
We used to be based out of Waukesha. Now he's based in California in San Ramon.
Okay. At the SAS location there.
Yes, absolutely. So that's fantastic.
I used to have HR responsibility for that center along with all the software businesses.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
anyway,
Fantastic.
sorry. But back
Yeah,
on.
no, sorry for the little
No, you're
segue.
good.
But I was just curious, wanting to learn a little bit more about Renee. But hi, Athene, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Katie,
Um,
by all means, go ahead, continue. I'm so sorry for the
yeah,
little.
no, you're good. We've just got about 5 more minutes, but this is being recorded at theme, just so you know, so you can hop on and watch it anytime. And we do specialized topics once a month, and then every 2 weeks we also do just like an open chat Q&A situation over here, just so you know. And I know we're following you on social for sure, and you guys are killing it. I love everything you're doing. But yeah, we were just kind of talking about the importance of aesthetics and why it actually is important to have aesthetically pleasing, cohesive content, especially on Instagram and places where when you glance at somebody's profile, you can, people make split second decisions on whether or not they want to follow you, and you want everything to be, clean and easy to understand. And also, you want that brand recognition, which is what I was just going to kind of say towards the end is like, if I am looking for a house and I follow 3 realtors or more that are local to me because I know that eventually I might need them. And in the meantime, I want to get local tips and, staging advice or something. If you're branded well, then I'm immediately going to recognize, based on probably the image, not even seeing the logo, who I'm looking at, which is important. And kind of the last point I wanted to make is this is so important. And obviously, like, I'm a little biased and passionate about marketing, but I was also an entrepreneur for 10 years. And I think that people push, especially if you're not naturally interested in it, people push social media marketing to the back burner. It's hard, it's a lot to learn, it is a lot of things. And most small business owners are not naturally good at it. That's probably not the thing that they're good at. So I guess the last thing I would leave you with is to feel comfortable delegating and outsourcing what you feel like isn't your strong point instead of completely neglecting it. If there's a way you can outsource to, and there's tons of ways you can do that. That doesn't necessarily mean a full-time employee or what have you. It could mean, investing in software that automates things. We've talked about in other sessions how much AI can help to develop content and things like that. So there are ways to be efficient and to get the results you want, even if it's not your strong point, and even if you're not, a natural born graphic designer. So, yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
I was just going to add too, like from a psychological standpoint too, being able to look at content that is pleasing to the eye is going to generate more the higher likelihood that somebody's going to engage with said content. And so
Yeah, for sure.
you guys are on social media. I posed this question to Renee, and now I'm going to pose the same one to you, but how has color theory kind of played a role in your branding on social? And is any of it intentional? What colors do you choose? Do you subscribe to color theory? I just want to hear your thoughts and opinions on it.
I subscribe to color theory when it comes to dressing myself. I hired somebody years ago and discovered that I am a fall, so I tend to dress in warm tones. I know
Nice.
colors that have more impact if I am, like there's my power colors. I know if I'm going to have an important meeting, I'm going to make sure that the colors are aligned with the intention. However, when it comes to my IG, I know some people kind of use filters and sort of, have everything in the same tone or color wash. I don't do that, although I can see how one who does maybe have a palette and, it's that it looks more cohesive for sure. Um, so yeah, what I try to do is have the real estate content, which I do delegate and that's outsourced. like in terms of creating reels a couple times a week. And then I also attempt to share some personal things, like sometimes related to lifestyle or, just personal updates. I used to be better. I want to start including some quotes, like maybe every fifth post, because I think that also kind of pops out, and like it also shows more of a mindset. And, just and then I really, so that's something I used to do and I haven't been doing. But yeah, so that's the color theory aspect.
No, I love that. First of all, you are absolutely a warm colors kind of gal. Autumn colors definitely suit you.
Thank you.
So I like that you follow that, especially when it comes to, your own personal style. And also when it comes to your content as well too, I would say having more of that like personal lifestyle content and including that in there as well also just makes you um, you're more than just a realtor. Everyone's more than just their job, and they're more than just, one singular identifier. And so I think that's a great approach.
Thank you. And I totally, it baffles me when I hear agents say, oh, I have a personal IG, then I have my business IG. And I'm like, as real estate agents, we are the brand. People choose to work with us because of who we are and
Mm.
what we are, not where we hang our license. No
Yeah.
offense, radius,
No, totally.
So,
Absolutely.
so I just think, we have to present ourselves as a whole person, like anybody that knows me knows that I'm very health minded, knows, like that's just a part of me. And that comes up in how I relate to my clients. And I do think it's important to leave, like, for instance, politics out of or, that sort of perspective out of, sharing. I just think that could be too triggering, especially a year like, an election year where,
Mhm.
it could be polarizing. So I think I would rather, even though we're aware of all these things happening right now on the planet, I'd rather not speak to that because there's enough channels that do speak to the happenings on a global level that are, again, like very polarizing. People have very strong opinions. So I'd rather
Mhm.
just not include that in the conversation. Like, I think that's not what I'm here to do. I can have my own opinions that I can share one-on-one with my friends, but in general, I don't get into those conversations with clients or
No,
share in a public arena.
and I think
Yeah,
that's
that makes
smart
sense.
too,
Yeah.
because
For sure.
I mean, it's not part of your job. It's not something that you want to provide as inflammatory. And I think that, you're helping somebody to find a home. You're not telling them who to vote for. And so I think that those
Right.
things can be separate. And so
Yeah.
I know we're a little bit past time, and so I want to give everyone an opportunity to ask any final questions that they might have for Katie. We will be having another social media Q&A next month in June. I want to say it'll be on, please hold, the second Wednesday in June. So that'll be June 12th. So should you have any questions or want to do any more individualized consultations, Katie will be there and be present and eager to answer all of your questions. So I want to thank Katie so much for sharing her wisdom with us today. I always look forward to her rooms personally, and I want to thank you guys for joining us and taking the time out to be with us here in rooms today. So I hope everyone has a great rest of their Wednesday and has a lovely and fun-filled Memorial Day weekend. So
Same to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie.
Thank you,
Will we get a
everyone.
recording emailed to us, or where do we find the recording?
the recording will be available on the Radius YouTube channel as well as the dashboard. But Athene, I can send you a copy of it as well.
Okay. Thank you, Ella. Thank
Of
you.
course.
Okay. Bye,
Take care.
dears.
Good one.
Thank you.